Hello, people, and welcome to the grand stage of JK's and Friends Unscripted podcast. The podcast where the beginning is just a glimpse and the ending is a mystery unwritten. Here, we steer into the heart of discovery, navigating through a sea of insights, the thrill of surprises, and the authenticity of real-life sagas shared by our distinguished guests. Every episode is a voyage, and you're an essential part of this expedition. Our guest today is Rachel Beck, author, consultant, speaker, Better World advocate, and LinkedIn influencer from Alabama, USA.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
I'm doing good, Jeffrey. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm about to get back to Europe. I was in Ecuador 3 months, and now I am heading back to Europe to start our real estate development project. So I'm very excited. So welcome to JK's and Friends Unscripted podcast. You are here because you and I, we're sharing our journey together. We've met like good 2 months ago now, and we've done a whole lot. So we did
That's amazing. It's like we've known each other forever now. You, your wife, who we love. Like, I feel like we've known each other forever.
Yes, same here. I really feel like we're almost like cousins. It's just like, I know you all my life, although we did interact with one another, but now here you are and let's do things together. So I was on your podcast, 5 episodes so far, which is a very long podcast. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
You are on my podcast because I truly believe that you're an incredible person. And I'm not saying this to be flattering. I really say that because what you do is just mind-blowing. And I want to touch on that. So
thank you.
I'm gonna ask you 5 questions during this podcast. There's always the first question I know, and the last question I know. I just don't know which question I'm going to ask you in between, and everything we're talking about now is going to be broadcast. So no cutting, no adjusting.
I'm ready.
Let me ask you this one question. Who is Rachel Beck?
That is a question in my 40 plus years on the way to 50 that I've been trying to answer myself. You know that I'm a big runner or hiker, and that's part of it. My mother taught me when I was 18 years old that the minute you become stagnant, you're done growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that if you're yourself and you're working on personal development, that's the most important thing. So I try to do that. Listen, I say all the time, flawed, I'm imperfect, make mistakes, I'm constantly growing, but there's a tremendous amount of pressure that is put on influence. Okay. And I always talk to my network about, you don't need to be perfect. It's okay. Come as you are, accept you. But that grace is the other way. And people have extremely high expectations of influence. I don't believe in having expectations of people. I like to be pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm. So Rachel Beck is, in a nutshell, is someone that doesn't stay put. Rachel Beck is someone that is always on the go. Rachel Beck is someone that always has a project. Is that a good summary?
Yeah, I'm honestly just here trying to help as many people as I can. That's all I'm trying to do, because everybody needs help. I have my mentor when I first started on LinkedIn, who I'm still deeply, deeply loyal to. He took me under his wing, and now I do that for people years later. And it's, you and I both know it's about collaboration. We both know I'm trying very hard to pull the veil back on entrepreneurship. People have glamorized it. You and I both know that's not what it is. It is hard work. It is our blood, sweat, and tears. There's days where you're like, You know, I mean that's the reality. But for some reason, glamorized, and I don't understand that. It is hard work. It is very hard work to be an entrepreneur.
Yes, I believe that. So we're going to assume that people don't know who Rachel Beck is. You, which is going to be hard, but I'm pretty certain that people on my side of the pond. I'm currently in Ecuador, but I'm based in Europe. Um, you say you dropped the word influencer, you or dropped the word entrepreneur. So it's fair to say that you are both, right? I'm pretty certain that a lot of people know who you are, but I'd like to dig a little bit deeper to find out how did you become Rachel Beck, if that makes sense, the influencers, the entrepreneur. So when did it start? Because you're on a mission to helping the world, and I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this in a light way. I mean, I've seen you. You're like a alkaline rabbit in terms of that. It's like you are like Rambo and GI Jane at the same time. You want to help everybody today. So, what led Rachel Beck to become Rachel Beck?
A big part of it is, I am an author, I'm a speaker, and I was a photographer for many, many years. So that's how I actually started. That's how I started my journey. And it's important. That's how I started it. And I met my mentor, and he's like, guided me in the beginning of my path, which was huge. So I just kind of said, I've been doing this for years. It's taken me years to build what I've built, and I want to talk about that because people want that instant gratification. They want that overnight success. And that's not what happens. And I'm trying to teach people about patience because they're lacking it, and it takes them. Like people are like, how did you build this? I'm like, I didn't do it overnight. I'm like, it's years. Like what you see me doing every day, I've been doing that for years, for a long time.
And when did it start?
I would say many years back.
Okay.
Like many, but you seeing what I'm doing every day.
So you say that you're an author. So you wrote a book. What was the book about?
The book is actually my life story. And it came from, the idea came from my girlfriends who happened that I met in India. And then she met me again because she volunteered at my orphanage. And after I had gone back to school in 2017 to finish my degree, right? And I was exhausted. Like I took a year off and I just focused on school. And so she calls me days after graduation and she said, Rachel, I want you to do me a favor. Sit down and write a book. And I said to her, what are you talking about? I'm not an author. And I said, I'm exhausted because I just finished 5 classes. I don't know if I want to typewrite. They were hard classes. She said, just do me a favor and try it. I was like, okay. I sat down and the first I started reading, I wrote for 5 hours. And it was like that every single day with, managing, when I 5, and then hired an incredible publisher. And that came out in 2018. And I called her after I was done with the book and I said to her, because I know you. I knew there was a book inside you. You just needed someone to tell you that. And it was such a beautiful, powerful thing. And now I mentor a lot of authors who are starting out. It is a very, from being in the publishing industry, how difficult it is to get there. So starting out, or they're trying to learn how to market their books, which is difficult. So I jump on they try X, Y, and Z.
So your life story. So I know a little bit of your life story. Your life story is you were born in India. You were adopted by an American family. So your home and your country is the United States.
Yes. Yeah.
And You wrote a book about what exactly? Like the journey from being an Indian born American, or what's I'm interested. Sorry.
No, it covers a bunch of different things. Like it talks. I use my voice as an adoptee, which is really, really important because a lot of people speak on our behalf. Not fair. So I talk about that. Well, parents who have adopted need to know the information inside there. I talk about the experience. I battled a disease which was really difficult, and I talk about that, about definition of woman, and I talk about my experiences in India. So it kind of covers all of that. I'm 100 pages into the next book, and it's actually writing itself. I'm going to get back to it this year and finish it because so much changed after I wrote the first 100 pages. And it's not an easy story. Like when one of my close guy friends who's known me for years, he called me like a couple weeks ago. He's like, "My God, I just read your book," and he's like, "People have no idea when they see your face every day." And he's like, "They have no clue what you've been through."
So let's leave it at that, as such. So people get on Amazon if it's available on Amazon and order it as an ebook or as a hard copy. It seems I'm gonna have to do it myself because I I'm intrigued now. So I'm gonna purchase your book. So you have a very large follower base, which is 300,000 people that you are talking to and helping every single day. And when I say every single day, I mean every single day. Because I've seen it, I've seen you work. What is it that you do with these people every day? How do you empower them? How do you change their lives? What is it that you do? I mean, 300,000 people, it sounds like a whole lot of people. And I'm sure that everyone has their own needs. So walk us through that, a typical Rachel Beck day.
It's so interesting you use that word typical because every day is different. It's always a surprise to me.
Ah,
It's a surprise. So what it is, I am a master connector. Okay. So people are and my network knows this. They know that that's my job, to be able and to open the doors for them so they can have more opportunities. But if someone's looking for work, if somebody is looking for exposure, to get their name out, because my show is based on the fact that I shine a light on people who are making a difference in the world, and they have they have to motivate and inspire. People need serious help now, and when I mean serious help, I mean serious help. So I prioritize too during the day. So if someone pops up in DM and it's like, this is what I need. And my leadership style is very, very different. I stand in the back and I push my network forward. That's my style, and they know that. But the biggest mistake people have is when you have a network this size, I personally feel it is your responsibility to take care of them. My network's in one big bubble of kindness and positivity because I believe in energy, but it's your responsibility. I mean, that's what it's about. And it's always astonishing to me when I see influencers who don't do it the right way. It's actually, it's painful for me to watch. But yes, it is a symbiotic relationship between, the followers and the influencer. It's a very deep symbiotic relationship.
I believe it. I believe it. And how do you separate? Because, helping 300,000 people who are scattered across the world with different time zone and everything, I can only imagine at my humble level who I'm talking to people on LinkedIn, I get messages 24/7. So, and I'm not in the process of being hands-on and wanted to help everyone. I help who wants to be helped. That's what I do. So if you genuinely want to be helped, I will help you. If you just want to, have my time so you can talk to me about things that you're not going to practice, then you're not going to get my help. I'm really radical when it comes to that. but you're different. I know you're different, Rachel. You're just from another planet. So how do you separate the two? How do you say, okay, I'm off work now, and that's gonna be off work? Do you do that?
Yes, I have to. And a big part of it is taking care of myself every day. So that's a big part of it. And honestly, I have to work on that more. I'm aware of that. And that's something that I need to work on more in 2024. Absolutely. And I'm conscious of it. I'm deeply, deeply conscious of that. That's something that I need to do.
Well, you know me as a friend, I'm always going to call you out. I'm always going to tell you, slow down. We had that conversation last night. I just find that, the reason if you don't slow down, you know, um, and a lot of people don't realize that then, when they do too much, they risking
Hmm.
everyone that relies on them, to be left behind if something happened to them, like stroke, like burnout, whatever. So that's why, you have to make sure to, and I'm in no point to give you a lecture, but I think that you need to be able to differentiate, help and help. Prioritize things. I know that you went through one time you had somebody who was about to commit suicide, I believe, and reached out to you, and you helped that person. Do you want to tell us about that, or is it too private?
No, this is a big part of what I do. I wake up. That's I use my voice for mental health. I'm not shy about that, and I'm going to continue to do that. And people always ask me why, and I tell them I have PTSD. So yes, it's my responsibility as an influencer who has PTSD to use my voice. So when people reach out to me and they say today's going to be my last day, or very deep, and I these are not people I'm meeting for the first time. These are people I've known for years and have a deep relationship, and I know what they're struggling with, and I have known for years. So that goes when I get messages like that. I got one the other night, like 11 o'clock. It's like boom, So that's a big part. Making sure that they help. Some people try to tell people that some people in the world only have me and nobody else, and that is real reality. That's the truth. They just don't have anybody. So if I get the text in 2 in the morning and it's Rach, I need your help right now. Please pick up the phone. And I it's phone. I mean, it's people are suffering on a whole other level. Really, like so. We need people to be there for each other. It's important. They're struggling.
I
They're
think
struggling.
I think you're right about mental health. I spoke on your podcast that I grew up around mental health because my brother is schizophrenic, and since I was a child, so I only know that, right? But there's also mental health that is not diagnosed. There's mental health that people don't know that, I can give you an example. Yesterday, I sent a bunch of messages to my network to follow our page. I'm not going to say my page because you're part of that full circle thing. Um, and and some people replied to me like I was sending them a business proposal. You see what I mean? Like, what is it about? I can't follow any, but like the response was not, the reply was not matching the request, if that makes sense. And because I'm accustomed when someone is struggling with, you know, my brother is like paranoid, schizophrenic. So he believed that things are not true. And I saw, like, I have like 4,500 followers. And, I sent maybe it was like 200 messages out. And I got good 10 messages like that who was like completely off. And I believe that a lot of people, and I'm not calling these people, out that they have mental health, but then, what they perceive is not necessarily what's going on, right? So I think this is a very important topic. How do you know when you have a DM?
Mhm.
Are you how to say expert enough to say, oh, that person is suffering from mental health, or you need to go deeper into the conversation to realize?
Usually it's deeper into the conversation,
Okay.
and these are people I've known for years. Like I know their battle scars and
Okay.
what they're dealing. So I always, that's how you build the friendship. I tell people take the time and really build real friendships, because honestly, no business. I tell my network that no business gets done on this platform unless you build a relationship, and that's the truth. That is the truth. So I'm always telling my network, take the time, build a real relationship, and then you come to the point of the referral system, right? So if you come to me and say, hey Rach, I need a website designer, I'm gonna give you the best of the best. And this is how referrals work. You hire for her, they do an incredible job. I'm gonna call you 2 weeks later and go, hey Jeff, what's your experience with I just did 2 calls with people who I referred, and they're like, man, this has been phenomenal, he's great, wonderful, the company loves him. So that diamond ticket, diamond nugget, that referral, and then people who stand behind it. You know what I mean? Like, if we are putting our behind it, saying, yes, I heard this, it's about the delivery on the other side of it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I I go back and and I'm like, how was your experience today? Like,
That is awesome, and it's touching to something that I want to ask you. So you connect people
mhm.
with one another. You help them. You help people on mental health, but you also like a business incubator, if that makes sense. Yeah. So and I don't know. I'm just asking
Sure, please.
if someone would want to have your endorsement.
Mhm.
And you truly believe, because I know that you're not going to endorse just anything, but if somebody wanted to have your endorsement and say, could they reach out to you and say, can you endorse me and enter like a commercial deal with you? Or is it something that is a big no-no for you?
I am so glad that you brought this up because, all right, so I get people who I don't know, have zero relationship, never had a conversation with them, and they'll call me and say, can you endorse me? I write them back. I have no idea. I have absolutely no clue who you are. And so it's important. It is really, really, really important for people. Good way to explain LinkedIn, at least through my perspective, it's a job interview every single day. And I've taught my network that they know everything that they write, everything that they do. That's their job interview for the day, to make that first impression. And I go in and companies, and it's always they want to learn. Like, it matters. I spoke at an HR conference last September in Vermont with a couple other speakers, and I was a closer of the conference. And this was a big HR conference, and I was teaching them about social media, how to do. And the HR people were very, very specific. It was incredible, and he said, "We look at a resume for 6 seconds, right?" And this is my friend, been in the field for 30 years. And then what we do, the next step is we go through their entire social media feed. That's how we're going to decide if and he's been on my show talking about it. He's like, that's when we are going to decide if you're going to get that call. And when I go in and I teach 18 to 25-year-olds, I get that message across and say, everything you're doing when you want a job, whether you're leaving university or leaving wherever you're leaving, And I said, this is and they all, the last group of 1825, very special place to me that I've been for you. Couple me, like, what do you mean? I'm like, if you hire this, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm like, so this is your time to, like, you and I both know about the digital footprint.
Yeah. So yeah, and then internet doesn't forget. It's always gonna, and that's why it's important to have a traceable career. That's why it's important to make sure to not react, because it's easy to be cut up into a viral thing, and then you think that once you at that moment you feel that way, but you don't know if you're going to feel that way in 10 years time. So yeah, internet is never going to forget. So in clear, if someone needs your endorsement, they can just reach out to you and you will decide on the fly, correct?
I'll build the relationship first.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I'll come through. Go, you need, my network says me do all that. You need to hire them. You need to hire this company. You need to hire her. That's huge.
Yes.
To get, I mean, it's massive. And you know what? I never say anything negative about people. So if someone comes to me and they say, Rachel, what do you think about this person? And if I know things behind the scenes, I don't say anything negative. I'll just say, you need to go in another direction. And that's how I handle it.
That's amazing. Yeah, you just blew my mind, Rachel. You're someone else, and trust me, I've met a lot of people in my life, and I met people who are interested. I have, and I met people who came across as friends and really wanted to benefits. I went through some disappointments. I went through some joys, but you are something else. You're just something else. I just love the way how humble you are. You're a very humble person, and that's really what I like. I think I'm humble myself too. I don't take myself too serious. I'm good at what that I
Yes, you
know.
are.
But it doesn't. I don't feel that I'm better than anybody else. I just live my life. I want to ask you one last question. And
Yes, sir.
that last question is, if you could talk to Rachel Beck at any point, but in the past, what advice would you give her?
There are 3 things that I live by. You ready? I'm just gonna I wish I would have, I was severely bullied in middle school.
Oh
Severely.
no.
That's why I have 0 tolerance for any form of bullying. I have 0 tolerance for it. I wish I would have been able. I never went for help when I went through all that. I didn't tell my parents about it till years later. There's 3 things that you can't control what people think. You just can't. And so I don't even invest time in that. I really, really don't, because you can't. So let that go, because people think stuff about me and make so many assumptions. It's astounding. And then I write them back and go, do you know my story? And they go, no. And I would have told myself that. Don't, that awkward stage, middle school, high school, and, men and women deal with insecurity and self-esteem and all of it. I would have said that. I would have said, stand up for yourself more. I would have said that. I would have told myself, stand up for yourself more. The person obviously we are at 16 or, up there, we're totally different. I'm not the same person 2 years ago, right? Because I'm growing, changing, and seeing serious that I want to work on. That's one of them. 2, don't, the expectation thing. Don't have them. Make your life easy. It lets go of a lot of free. It gives freedom for somebody to do that. Don't put that pressure. It's unnecessary. So that's one thing that's been very free. And I would have told myself that at 16. Don't have expectations. That was a very free moment for me. I learned that. And I think
I
there's
know that expectations, it's something that I have a big problem with. And especially, and you would probably be able to relate, when you want to help someone, when you take on a project, okay, of helping someone, you have expectations. My biggest flaw is I think that everybody is like me. I think that everyone will do the things, like, oh, I need help. I'm taking on the help. I honor this help. Right. So my expectation is I think that people are going to answer every time, and especially the last year and a half, I have helped 5 individuals who ended up disappointing me to an extreme deep level. You know, um, turns out that they were just users. Users and not even capable of the expectation that I had for them. So they were telling me, "Oh yes, I can do it if you give me the opportunity." Da, 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 da. It turns out that they were just not even opportunistic, because an opportunistic, at least they try to make it. Like they were,
you
they were
can,
they were just simply taking and wasting, if that makes sense.
no, absolutely makes sense. But here's the thing: like, if we didn't put the expectation, I'm sorry to hear about your, because we have all been there. Like, but it just it cre- I'm so deeply passionate about this from my lesson 2008, which I'll share with you privately. But it just sets them up. It's like, okay, well, it's like if you said to me, okay, Rach, you're coming over, hanging out with me and my wife tonight, and you said to me, we're having dinner, and I walked in with eggs and bacon. Like, what are you doing? Doing dinner. But in my head, for some reason, I was like, oh, let me bring him eggs and bacon. But that's not the way you and your wife would be. You would say, muchas gracias, amiga. We appreciate you. I never go to a house empty-handed for dinner. That's just the way we were raised. But it does. And it's disappointing. People have disappointed me so much in my life. From day freaking one. You know what I mean? From day freaking one. So it's a bad feeling. People don't want to be disappointed. They don't want to hear you disappointed me. That breaks somebody's, that messes somebody up.
Exactly. It leaves something behind. These guys, those people who disappoint, sometimes they do it on purpose, sometimes they don't, and I believe that if it's an honest mistake, it needs to be recognized as, but like, too many people play games for nothing. It's just, and there's a life that is attached. Exactly what you were saying, something, that I feel sad about just thinking about, that you were bullied in school and then you had to suffer by yourself,
And but that was on me. I should have, done, I've had, we all know people who have been. So that's why I'm not going to do it. And it is such, if I see it's just not going to work. And I will absolutely run in that direction.
I don't agree with when you say it was on me, because nobody has a playbook to react to this. You shouldn't be blaming yourself. It's not on you. You don't know that you probably don't even know that you're being bullied while you're being bullied. You just think that, oh, those people are just mean or they have a bad day. But, like, these people were focusing on hurting you every single day. So I don't think that, even after all those years, you shouldn't blame yourself. It's not on you. You were a victim, and now you're recovering. And the reason why I always ask this last question is because that helps me to understand why people do what they do. And I think that you want to be, or that you are, a lot of people's hero, because you would have wished somewhere that hero would come and help you back then.
I do. I mean, there was a bunch of us. It wasn't just me. There, it was one of those situations. There was a bunch of us that, ironically enough, it's why I am the way I am.
Mhm.
And being watching out for my network, So if let's say, and it's not going to happen because it's you, if I was on your post and you can stand up for yourself, but if I saw somebody say something to you rude and unkind, and I deemed it as just not appropriate behavior, first of all, the person's getting blocked. Like, you're done. Like, don't talk to my friend. Because I warn my network about that. I say it all the time. I'm like, I go to my friend's post, I go through, and if it's nice, I hit follow. That's what I do on your post when I'm there. But there's other side of it. No, or I just have a zero tolerance for it, and part of my soul dies when I see that behavior. I see it.
I want to say something, and a lot of people, I always have this way of thinking. You are helping. You have a network of 300,000 people. You probably help 10% of these people, or maybe 5% of these people daily. Okay. You suffered middle school and high school from that, but and you can say no if you don't feel like I'm right. But don't you feel that you had to go through this in order to become who you are today, so you could give back? It's like I almost want to say, had this not happened, there would have been no Rachel Beck, and maybe a lot of people would not get your help.
Well, I think it's a really good question, Matt. I think everything I've gone through, and people only know 1% of my story. Everything, all the hell I've been, and I've found back multiple times, has made me who I am.
Yes,
it's created deeply empathetic being. I know what it's like. I know what it's like. People don't know. I'll be up at I'll wake up 1 or 2 in the morning and be worried about people be thinking and that's part of being empath. I can feel it. I know what is going on with them. So yeah, everything, every experience that I have and I'm having in life right now is making me who I am. And it's psychology. That's why I'm so passionate about psych.
Yeah. On that note, I would like to thank you for being who you are, even if it did cost you a lot of pain and disappointment. I think that most of your network would agree with me that we're thankful that you're here. And
thank you.
I thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me and my network about Rachel Beck.
And I want to thank you, sir, so much for having me on your show today. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to all the work we're doing together in the future.
I'll see you in Belgium.
All right. Yes.
Thank you.